This week, a memo has shocked the world. This memo was written by the Shopify CEO, Tobias Lütke, who made a very stark new rule. No one in the business is allowed to hire a single human without first proving that AI cannot do the job first. Some people are excited, yet as you can imagine, many are horrified. And the right question I think to ask is whether this is going to become the new norm for CEOs to encourage their business to replace people with AI. And this has all come at a time when there are a lot of questions being asked about wealth inequality, tax, and big business. Today I'm going to deep dive into that memo and what I think it means for the next few years of AI and automation. This is In the Loop with Jack Halton. I hope you enjoy the show. This entire story really blew up when Tobias Lütke, so the CEO of Shopify, released an internal memo which was then leaked. So Tobias decided to publish it publicly so no one could misquote it or misinterpret what he's trying to say. So I think I want to start by reading that memo.
Team. We are entering a time where more merchants and entrepreneurs could be created than any other in history. We often talk about bringing down the complexity curve to allow more people to choose this as a career. Each step along the entrepreneurial path is rife, with decisions requiring skill, judgment, and knowledge. Having AI alongside the journey, and increasingly doing not just the consultation, but also doing the work for our merchants, is a mind-blowing step function change here. Our task here at Shopify is to make our software unquestionably the best canvas on which to develop the best businesses of the future. We do this by keeping everyone cutting edge and bringing all the best tools to bear so our merchants can be more successful than they themselves used to imagine. For that, we need to be absolutely ahead. AI usage is now a baseline expectation at Shopify. Maybe you are already there and find this memo puzzling. In that case, you already use AI as a thought partner, deep researcher, critic, tutor, or pair programmer. I use it all the time, but even I feel I'm only scratching the surface. It's the most rapid shift to how work is done that I've seen in my career, and I've been pretty clear about my enthusiasm for it. You've heard me talk about AI in weekly videos, podcasts, town halls, and Summit. Last summer, I used agents to create my talk and presented about that. I did this as a call to action and invitation for everyone to tinker with AI, to dispel any skepticism or confusion that this matters at all levels. Many of you took up the call, and all of us who did have been in absolute awe of the new capabilities and tools that AI can deliver to augment our skills, crafts, and fill in our gaps. What we have learned so far is that using AI well is a skill that needs to be carefully learned by using it a lot. It's just too unlike everything else. The call to tinker with it was the right one, but it was too much of a suggestion. This is what I want to change here today. We also learned that, as opposed to most tools, AI acts as a multiplier. We are all lucky to work with some amazing colleagues, the kind who contribute 10x of what was previously thought possible. It's my favorite thing about this company. And what's even more amazing is that, for the first time, we see the tools become 10x themselves. I've seen many of these people approach implausible tasks, ones we wouldn't even have chosen to tackle before, with reflexive and brilliant usage of AI to get 100 times the work done. In my On Leadership memo years ago, I described Shopify as a Red Queen race based on the Alice in Wonderland story. You have to keep running just to stay still. In a company growing 20 to 40% year over year, you must improve by at least that every year just to requalify. This goes for me as well as everyone else. This sounds daunting, but given the nature of the tools, this doesn't even sound terribly ambitious to me anymore. It's also exactly the kind of environment that our top performers tell us they want. Learning together, surrounded by people who also are on their own journey of personal growth and working on worthwhile, meaningful, and hard problems is precisely the environment Shopify was created to provide. This represents both an opportunity and a requirement, deeply connected to our core values of be a constant learner and thrive on change. These aren't just aspirational phrases, they're fundamental expectations that come with being a part of this world-class team. This is what we founders wanted, and this is what we built. What this means: Using AI effectively is now a fundamental expectation of everyone at Shopify. It's a tool of all trades today and will only grow in importance. Frankly, I don't think it's feasible to opt out of learning the skill of applying AI in your craft. You are welcome to try, but I want to be honest, I cannot see this working out today and definitely not tomorrow. Stagnation is almost certain, and stagnation is slow-motion failure. If you're not climbing, you're sliding. AI must be part of your GSD prototype phase. The prototype phase of any GSD project should be dominated by AI exploration. Prototypes are meant for learning and creating information. AI dramatically accelerates this process. You can learn to produce something that other teammates can look at, use, and reason about in a fraction of the time it used to take. We will add AI usage questions to our performance and peer review questionnaire. Learning to use AI well is an unobvious skill. My sense is that a lot of people give up after writing a prompt and not getting the ideal thing back immediately. Learning to prompt and load context is important, and getting peers to provide feedback on how this is going will be valuable. Learning is self-directed, but share what you learned. You have access to as much of the cutting-edge AI tools as possible. There is chat.shopify.io, which we had for years now. Developers have Proxy, Copilot, Cursor, Claude Code, all pre-tooled and ready to go. We'll learn and adapt together as a team. We'll be sharing W's and L's with each other as we experiment with new AI capabilities, and we'll dedicate time to AI integration in our monthly business reviews and product development cycles. Slack and Vault have lots of places where people share prompts that they developed. Before asking for more headcount and resources, teams must demonstrate why they cannot get what they want done using AI. What would this area look like if autonomous AI agents were already part of the team? This question can lead to really fun discussions and projects. Everyone means everyone. This applies to all of us, including me and the executive team. The path forward. AI will totally change Shopify, our work, and the rest of our lives. We're all in on this. I couldn't think of a better place to be part of this truly unprecedented change than being here. You don't just get a front row seat, but are surrounded by a whole company learning and pushing things forward together. Our job is to figure out what entrepreneurship looks like in a world where AI is universally available. And I intend for us to do the best possible job of that. And to do that, I need everyone's help. I already laid out a lot of the AI projects in the themes this year. Our roadmap is clear, and our product will better match our mission. What we need to succeed is our collective sum total skill and ambition at applying our craft multiplied by AI for the benefit of our merchants.
So let's break down that memo because there's a lot there. It's one of the first memos I think that, a big name CEO for a big company has come out and I guess very blatantly said what he thinks. And obviously his ambition there is to supercharge Shopify. The fear is that some people obviously are not going to be able to keep up. He wants an organization that's fluent in AI, capable of massive gains in output. But also that means pruning roles that AI can do maybe cheaper or faster. And I think you can bucket the reaction across the industry and the world into three key areas. Number one is excitement. So there's going to be a lot of people watching this and wondering how well it works. Number two, people who are absolutely horrified that this is an evil CEO corporation that's once again taking advantage of its workers. Number three, people who are calling this smoke and mirrors to hide the fact that they're actually uncertain about the future, not doing that well, and don't want to spook Wall Street. So I'm going to jump into all those different types of reactions here and try and break down whether any of them have, I think, merit. So obviously, as soon as Toby shared that memo, the internet lit up. People posted on X, LinkedIn, lots of different news outlets. There was a Fortune journalist who covered it and wrote, "Shopify is saying the quiet part out loud," which basically means that AI will replace new hiring, and other CEOs aren't admitting it. Toby's memo seems to reveal a bit of a strategy that I think many companies are probably already planning behind closed doors. I kind of respect the fact that he's just come out and said it. And there's many people who also applaud him for being honest. Some commentators have praised him for leading from the front and not apologizing. And many people think that saying hire your AI before a person is an uncomfortable read, but it's the honest truth. And many people agree that he's probably just saying something that many leaders feel, but just haven't said very openly. I've said this a number of times on this podcast. I think that there are going to be corporations and companies in the near future who only really focus on cutting jobs and efficiency. Whereas actually, I think the companies that focus on, can AI do this better? And then how can I grow output and how can I grow my company so every employee produces 10 times more? I think that group is going to do infinitely better than those that are obsessed with bottom line cuts. Because ultimately, if you've got lots of market share and you're growing very fast, you're going to hire more people and you're going to do better. Critics, on the other hand, have claimed that it's just another big step towards job cuts. And they see it as a sign that AI is just going to displace people. A lot of people have said it's cold and it's lacking any empathy for human beings. Many people have come out on X saying, that they'd resign on the spot if their company told me they had to prove AI can't do their job. And it's one of those hot button issues coming at a time where wealth inequality and tax and all these major issues are being discussed in the mainstream media. So it's really stoked up a lot of emotion online. And as you can imagine, it would leave many people feeling quite anxious about their futures. Now, there's also that possibility that Toby's memo is just a very clever way to announce that there's a freeze on hiring. And many people have claimed that he's just trying to disguise the fact that they're cost cutting without spooking investors. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time here because companies often try to keep stock prices stable by maybe controlling headcount or cost. Toby denies it's about economics, but we obviously can't ignore that that's a big factor in the world right now. After all, Toby's memo came out at the exact same time of what is only described as a huge global market uncertainty period. So Shopify might be bracing for, say, slower consumer spending or other forms of pressures. But still, I think he emphasized that actually this is more about growth and deeply integrating AI into work. He sees it as obviously a multiplier of productivity. I think that came through really clearly in his memo. And he pointed out that some employees achieve maybe 100x the work done by using these AI tools. So again, there's mixed reactions to this, obviously. But I think what's really interesting is it probably spells what we're going to start to see in the near-term future. And maybe the right question to ask is whether Toby's memo is an extreme measure for one company or maybe a glimpse into the future for everyone. Many analysts, as you can believe, imagine it's a snapshot into the future. Personally, I think if you really read into what Tobias is saying, it's that AI is going to be the thing that allows us to grow. And when we grow, we hire more people. So I actually personally will expect to see more hiring from a Shopify. There are always going to be times of cuts. But if a company can adopt such a revolutionary technology quickly and get it into every single worker and employee's head that this is critical for them to understand, and as a result, they have a huge advantage for however long it takes other companies to catch up, I think those are the companies that are going to grow really quick. Obviously, though, this can have a real negative impact on, say, junior roles. So if a new job request is basically tasks that AI can do, you can imagine a lot of early career job starters not being offered a role, which might mean that over time you've got less talent entering the business because there's less people starting their career with you. Junior positions at big companies like that often involve very routine tasks that maybe newcomers just are doing to gain some level of skill or confidence in the role. And if AI handles all of that, what are they being hired for? Now, again, I think these types of conversations people can often overthink. I always keep saying the more of something that is and the cheaper and the easier it is to do, the more that is produced. So ultimately, what we'll probably see is just a set of new tasks that early career starters might need to take up. But ultimately, I do think there'll just be less available opportunities for them. Now, what's also quite interesting is that he's going to make it a part of performance reviews. So, there's going to be lots of people who criticize this type of leadership as being very authoritarian and dictatorial. But really, if you look at a massive company, change isn't going to happen with very soft, gentle suggestions. And, Toby's memo actually is that they're going to add AI usage questions into performance and peer review questionnaires. That's a very direct measure. It means employees are going to be judged quite literally on how well they use it. So clearly, in his eyes, the only way to actually measure whether people are taking this on board is to assess whether they've made it a part of their everyday routine. He himself said he wants this to be reflexive, like breathing. You can't just dabble with something. You have to fully integrate it into all tasks, from coding to marketing to design. And he's obviously trying to promote those Slack channels for people sharing ideas and inputs and prompts. So he's obviously trying to create a team of AI enthusiasts. I think that's the right thing to do. Just like those listening should be making sure the people they know, whether it's family or friend or coworkers, need to be starting to learn about these things, because this memo, I think, is probably going to be the canary in the coal mine of how lots of companies are going to start heavily encouraging and even forcing people to either adopt it or leave. So that big question is going to be whether this becomes the norm, whether it's going to become a part of your performance reviews, your peer feedback, deeply embedded in process checks. Now, my personal view is that replacing people shouldn't be the goal. It should be about growth and happiness and welfare. Because technology like this is really disruptive, and it does cause job losses, and it's going to cause personal stress, especially in really tough economic and political time. Our responsibility, in my view, isn't to stop this change happening, but to soften the landing for those who are going to be affected negatively. This means putting people first in society. That means offering new education, offering welfare, having clear, open, and honest communication about why that role is being automated. And yes, that will mean higher taxes. That means the government probably shouldn't sell off important services to companies that are critical for welfare. That means redistributing wealth poverty. But yes, it also means incentivizing a huge amount of investment into startups who are at that bleeding edge of innovation. It means picking very carefully where to add red tape and where to relax rules. Because in my view, when we do that, we're accepting that it's okay to reskill and evolve, that it's a part of life, it's a part of culture. It's about planning for the future and not clinging to the past, and making empathy and the happiness and support of people part of that ambition as well. Part of the culture which everyone here is proud of being a part of. So what then does this mean for the next, say, 5 years' time? What can we learn about the Shopify CEO's memo? First, I think it signals a possible wave of AI-first policies. We've seen many companies encourage usage, but I think the CEO of Shopify this time took it a lot further and made it mandatory. And if it succeeds, other people are going to probably copy it. AI is going to become a requirement, not just a tool. And that means job seekers are going to need to show AI skills on, say, their CV. And people who resist are going to face limited options. That's a huge shift in how we think about core skills. Just like once upon a time, you had to know how to use a computer. Second, the memo suggests a rethinking of how we structure organizations. The CEO of Shopify, he wants employees to do 100x more. Now, that amount of productivity might mean smaller teams that can handle bigger projects, and then hiring fewer people. For employees who adapt well, it also will mean probably more interesting work. You're not going to be doing as many tedious tasks. But for those that struggle, it's going to be stressful, there's going to be burnout, and maybe even eventual exit from whatever business they're working on. And in the next 5 years, we might be split between this AI savvy and AI averse groups, with the latter group finding it probably quite hard to progress. Third, I think this approach would probably overall reduce entry-level positions. In 5 years, routine tasks could be fully automated. So that next generation that used to have to do lots of those tasks to get confidence, get skills, will probably be out of a role. We might see apprenticeship programs or new ways of training disappear. We might see a real shortage of new talent. It's a very uncertain prediction. It's very difficult to understand where that's going to go, but it's a challenge many can foresee. Fourth, I think it's going to change how we talk about performance reviews at work. He said AI usage is going to be part of that feedback. If that actually spreads on and catches on amongst different companies, employees everywhere are going to need to show how they leveraged AI at work. That's quite a big shift in corporate culture. Instead of praising, say, creativity, managers might have to be asking, how did you push or use AI to improve that result? So the idea is not just working harder, but working smarter. But finally, as I said, I think this will lead to Shopify hiring more people, not less. Immediate term, maybe let's say the next 12 months, overall less. And I think that's probably a lot to do with the economic climate right now. But in 2 to 5 years, I think much more. What they want is market share, innovation, growth, success. So those ambitious businesses who double down on this innovative technology won't look to cut people, they will look to grow. And some businesses who do not care about growth or success, and all they care about rinsing profits, I think they will go the other way. So overall, what do I personally take away? I think that memo is a very bold stroke of leadership and probably a signal that the AI wave is going to be unstoppable. And it's harsh for those that worry about job losses. And it's very easy for headlines and people to go straight to the negativity. And over the next few years, there is going to be a lot of that negativity and also pain. Now, Toby, the CEO of Shopify, frames that as a move to stay ahead in a very fast-changing world. And over the next 5 years, we're probably going to understand whether that is a visionary approach or an extreme approach. Probably a bit of both. For anyone listening, I think the lesson is incredibly clear. Learn AI. Use it in your workflows, experiment, adapt. It's how to stay relevant in this new world. So this podcast, share it to people. Obviously, that benefits me and the podcast, but it's a great place for people to learn. Find a course online. Speak to someone at work that also knows their stuff. But whatever you do, don't bury your head in the sand. Anyway, thanks for joining me on today's deep dive. I hope you found it insightful. Stay curious, and I'll see you next week.